Hello, welcome back to the workshop. Slightly different intro without my mug behind the camera. Still kicking it though. I just thought I'd show you a bit of a view of the workshop because I've been doing some tidying, some cleaning and a bit of rearranging. And basically the reason I'm doing it is because I've lost a screwdriver. I can't find it anywhere. It's still on the run at the moment, and the only place I haven't been is in that corner over there by the milling machine, but that's next. But anyway, the knock-on effect is a tidier workshop. So let's have a look. The toolboxes are now over by the bench, so that's much better, more conducive to easier working. So I'm very happy with that. We've had a general tidy up, got rid of some boxes and just rubbish that's accumulated because of all the projects we've been working on. Welding carts had a bit of a drag out and a tidy up, and the gas bottles are there in the corner. They need to be on a trolley really, but they're a little bit more out of the way, as you can tell. The hydraulic press has shuffled along a bit to make room for the parts washer, which is now over here by the door. It's had a good clean, fresh fluid, and I've tidied up all the oils and greases that live underneath it. So there's some semblance of order there now. So yeah, a much better workshop, but still no screwdriver. It's a mystery. Will we ever find it? I don't know. Anyway, this video, what we're going to do, well, B175, we're going to crack on and do some of the niggling jobs that remain. Need to get on the lathe, make some washers for the rear suspension units, just to finish off that job, make it look a bit nicer, neater. And we need to make some drain plugs for the front forks so that we can put the oil in. So we're going to do that. Carburetor, we're going to do the control cables, get those fitted, and if we get around to it, we'll do the drive chain as well. We've got a new drive chain. So that's the plan. That is the plan. We'll see how far we get. We've got a new product to test as well. There's going to be a product test in this video, and that is the rock oil Kut and Tap. That's one of the products that they sent me last week. So we'll use that and see how we get on with it, and yeah, we'll see how it performs, and I'll let you know. So let's get on and do some work. Right, we're looking at Peter's B175 fuel tank. We're on handheld, an adventure, and we are on the internal microphone, so hopefully that works out fine. I think it will. And I'm just boroscoping the tank. It's really difficult to show you this because you end up with really poor resolution trying to film a screen. You just get light pollution. But my boroscope is quite a basic device. There's no capture function on it, so there's a little bit of surface rust in there, but there's absolutely nothing to write home about. Nothing loose, nothing flaky, and nothing rattling around inside. I wonder if I can just use the light from the scope to give you a view. Maybe not. No, I don't think it's going to work. And you can see there the saddle portion is quite typical really of the rest of the tank. And I think what saved this tank is the fact that it had fuel in it, left over from the 1970s. You know, it'd been outside for almost 50 years, but the fact that it had 1970s petrol and premix rather in there, you know, and those are the days when they weren't smashing loads of ethanol in the fuel, and it wasn't really hygroscopic. I mean, I'm not saying there was no water in there at all. I'm sure that some probably did get in through the vent cap and just through condensation, but yeah, that 1970s premix has really saved it. There's nothing flaky. There's no there's a bit of surface rust. There's nothing to write home about, so I'm quite happy to use this tank as it is. And you can see on the inside sort of a black coating, and I think that's the famous 1970s car underseal Z-Bart or Zybart, however it was pronounced, something like that. Certainly not wax oil, because that was kind of clear. Well, sort of a tint to it, but not black. So I think that's the Z-Bart or Zybart product, and that's probably helped as well, to be honest with you. It looks a little bit, excuse me, looks a little bit flat at the moment because I have flattened it off with Scotch pads to remove the rust and to go over the chrome and get as much of the rust off as I could. So when this is fitted back to the bike, we'll give it a coat of that stuff, the Owlatron, and yeah, I think it'll be fine. So we need to fit a new, I'll just switch the scope off. We need to fit a new fuel tap to it because the old one was leaking. And you can get the new cork elements for the old style fuel tank taps. But I fit a more modern tap. They're 1/8 gas thread, which is British Standard pipe parallel. So I fit an Italian made tap, which they're in keeping with the look of the bike, and they're really quite good. I've used a few of them, and as I say, a bit of rust on the seams, but nothing that's going to cause us any problems. And once we've got the Owlatron, it'll be good. There's the Z-Bart or Zybart product, which seems to have done its job, to be fair to it. So that's the fuel tank. Let me just sorry about the view there. Yeah, that's the fuel tank. So we'll fit the tap to that, I think, and that's another little job done. And I've got some footage of some bits that I made for, or at least one of the parts that I've made for the bike, and what I've been up to. Well, I've been working on the lathe, the faithful old Maximat, and I've made a couple of washers for the rear suspension units for the mountings at the lower end, and fitted those. So we'll have a look at the machining process, just the parting off. And the reason why I made those, because I just like the look of, you know, it just looks more finished. I'll show you those in a minute. It looks more finished, aesthetically more pleasing. They're not a BSA specified part. They're a retromeccanica retrofit, and I've also done the drain plugs for the forks. 2BA threads. They are cap heads, and I just parted them off at the right length and fitted new fibre washers, so we can put the oil in the forks now. But it's so much better with the cap heads because they're just easier to remove, and they're not as susceptible to getting knocked and damaged as the hex heads that are originally in there. So that's what I've used. So we'll go over and well, I'll show you the footage of me parting them off on the lathe. Oh, we got incoming, popular. And we're introducing a new product, one of the rock oil products that they sent me, the Kut and Tap. So we're going to test that out and see how well it assists the parting off. And yeah, first test of one of the new products, so hopefully you'll find that informative as well. So let me post that footage, and then we'll have a look at the bits that I made. It's a bit of a topsy-turvy video, this one. We'll have a look at that parting off, then we'll look at the bits, and then I think we're going to move on. And there's a couple of little finishing touches that I need to do before we get onto the wiring loom, and that is we need to fit the carburetor cables. So we've got the throttle cable and the air lever cable, and we may get around to fitting the drive chain as well, which needs to be done. And then we can have a look at the wiring, probably in a future video. So let's go over to the right, back we are. Sound like Yoda. What's all that about? We are back, and I've drilled a hole through the middle of it, and went really well. So that's good. This is a piece of 420 stainless. For those of you that are interested, you know I like my materials. I'm not going to go on about it too much though. It's a piece of 420 stainless steel, martensitic stainless steel. Properties of martensitic stainless steels generally is that they are hardenable, respond well to heat treatment, and are pretty pretty tough materials, resistant to propagation of defects, that kind of thing. So not the easiest of materials to work with, but not too bad at all. We're going to part off a washer, so a 1mm washer. Parting tool is 3mm. Make sure we're out at the end, which we are. 0 of the travel dial. 0, of course, otherwise it wouldn't be zeroing it. And then we'll put 4mm on, and that should give us a 1mm washer. So let's have a go. Those of you that watch my videos regularly and see me do machining will know that my usual go-to for parting off is Super Cut. It seems to lighten the load on the tool and makes it part off really, really well. So let's see how the Kut and Tap compares. I have to say, this seems to stay put. I do quite like that about it. Well, gets my vote. Just put a little chamfer on before we go any further. A little chamfer. And you can hear it against that file. It is, you know, pretty nail stuff, really. So tell me, Rock Oil, do you do it in 5-litre tubs? Do you do a squirty bottle to apply it with? I don't think anybody can argue with that result. There we go. First washer done. Oh, it's the drip tray. What a fool. Can't argue with that result, really. I think we'll call it good stuff. Right, I will do the next one off camera. Right, so here are the drain plugs. I think you'll agree they're very good in there, with the fibre washers. So we'll get some oil in there in the forks, and let's go over to the rear of the bike. There we go. We got our washers fitted. Now, as I say, more for fit and finish and aesthetic purposes, but were that rubber bush ever to decide to walk, which it probably never will, at least there's a washer there to stop it. But yeah, I think it looks a lot nicer than just the nut sitting there on its own in the middle of the rubber bush. So that's that bit done. Right, we're about to fit the fuel tap. Here is the fuel tap. It is the Italian one that I told you about. They're really quite nice, quite frankly, and they have a reserve function, which is good if you're like me and you're forgetful and you might run out of petrol. So you get quite a generous reserve portion. Basically anything below that line will once you're once you've got below that line, you're on reserve, so that's good. And they have a nice big gauze filter as well to prevent you from pulling any crap basically down into your carburetor. So yeah, quite well made. They're unusual size. They're just over 17mm square, so the old Swiss Army spanner fits perfectly. It's, the sealing arrangement that comes with them, it's not quite suitable for the Bantam tanks. It's a bit small. You get this little cup with a rubber sealing ring, which I'm sure would be fine on many bikes, but for the Bantam you really need a fibre washer. So I've got my carburetor box of bits over there. It's got jets and all sorts of stuff. It's also got my fibre washers in there. If you look down there, I've got a slight handful. We're trying to find one. We found one that is almost but not quite. So I'm just going to open it out ever so slightly, just with a twist drill in the hands, and in between the fingers, just tease it out so that it fits over the plain portion on the tap, and gives us a nice good seal. So I'm going to do that now, and then I'll come back. Before I do that, I just want to give a shout out to my friend, Mr. Tweed, of Tweed's Garage. It's a YouTube channel, Tweed's Garage. If you're not familiar, maybe you've just come along, you've just subscribed to me. I know most of you probably already watch him, but if you don't, please do go along and have a look at Tweed's Garage, because he's doing some really interesting projects with motorbikes and cars and all sorts of cool stuff. But I was over there for a cup of tea the other night in the workshop, and he gave me this plastic tray for the top of the bench. Absolutely ideal if you're taking an engine apart, something like that, to lay all the parts on, because if you want to if you need the bench space later on, you can just move it out of the way with everything already on there laid out, not have to scoop everything up and lose things. So that was really nice of him to give me that, and I believe he got them, he got a handful of them from a well-known Scandinavian furniture retailer that has outlets and stores across the UK. You know the one I mean. And that's where they came from, but absolutely ideal. I wouldn't say unbreakable, but they're kind of a flexible plastic, quite bendy. So I think you'd probably struggle to crack it. You'd have to be particularly ham-fisted, I think, to break it. So it's going to last really well in the workshop and wipe clean. And there's so many instances in life, isn't there, where wipe clean is useful, and this is one of them. Anyway, thanks Tweedy. I really do appreciate it. And it was a nice cup of tea and a nice visit. In fact, 2 cups of tea. So, spoiling me. Right, let's get on. I'll tease out that washer, and we'll get this done. Right, there we go. Nice and snug, but not smug, because we don't want any of that nonsense in here. That's what I used. I used a deburring tool. It's just easier to hold than the trying to twist the drill bit between my fingers. And I did fire the I did fire the washer across the workshop at one point, because you know what my fingers are like. Not much feeling left in them. I've riveted far too many helicopters together in my time. Yeah, I managed to find it again, so that was a win. Right, if this doesn't sit straight, I'm giving up. No, I'm not. I'll just put another washer on. That should be all right. Just be careful to not do it any damage, and try not to get in your way too much, so that you can see what's going on. It's getting a bit tight. We might need another washer actually. As is the way sometimes with these things. Yeah, I think I could probably get it to work, but I'd be over compressing it. So let's get another one. Take 2, as they say, or will it be take 3? I can't remember now. Right, got another one on there, so it should tighten up and be in the right place now. we go. That should be alright. Yeah, happy with that. I could have just edited it so that I had 2 washers on to start with, couldn't I? But then that would have made me a fink, wouldn't it? An untruth teller. We don't want that. But, yeah, that shouldn't leak. Should be onto a winner. Right, that's that done. I think we're going to do the carburetor cables now. This is that plastic tub that I have. I've got a few of them. Cannot for the life of me remember where I got them from, but I think I've got about 3 of them. I really need to go through all my spares and bits and pieces and just rationalise it all. I think I've got 2 plastic boxes that have got sort of carburetor and cable stuff in them, so I probably could condense that down a bit. But you've got all sorts of stuff: BVF, Del Auto, Amel, Mikuni, and there's 3 empty ones there. Miscellaneous, what's in there? Little air trumpet. Fibre washers, barrel nipples, carb nipples, ferrules, carb rubbers. What are they? Little oil drain. Oh, they're Simpson. They are. They're Simpson parts. Oil drain. Oil filler plugs. For the Simpson engines I used to do. Carburetor. Fuel tank tap. I've got another box of fuel tank taps in, so I could rationalise that down. One of those little cable repair kits with a bit of fuel hose. Gaskets. What are those gaskets from, and why are they in a carburetor box? They're Simpson as well. They're Simpson base gaskets. So there you go. Handy little boxes to have, things like this, with little partitions. Worth picking up if you see them. Right, I'm sitting at the bench and we're going to do the carburetor cables, throttle cable and the air control cable, or choke cable if you prefer to call it that. I prefer to call it air control. It's got an air lever on the handlebars, so it's an air control. Anyway, call it what you will. So there's the components. Strip the top end of the carburetor apart. There's the cap. And you'll notice that one of the cable ports has got a kind of a splined star type look to it, and the other one's plain. And the star spline type thing is the throttle. So you need to make sure that you get that right, otherwise you won't be able to get the top back on your carburetor. So make sure these are all the way down as well, as far down as they'll go, the adjusters. Yeah, I think they'll be fine. So anyway, then we've got the slide, which in all fairness probably needs replacing. We'll see how it runs, but it's not great. This bike hadn't done that many miles. It just shows you how quickly they wore. The modern concentrics are made of anodized components, so they don't wear out as quick, but the old ones, they were made down to a price. Simple as that, really. So there's our slide with our needle waiting to accept the throttle cable. That's our air slide. Spring. Cable guide. That's about it, really. We've got 2 cables here. Part numbers. 90, you can see that now. 90, 86, 30 is your throttle cable, on a B175 at least. 90, 86, 33 is your choke cable. And if you're like me and you're a bit absent-minded, your memory's not that great. Can't remember if I've told you that before. Anyway, if you're like me and your memory's not that great, it's the higher number is the choke cable. So 33 is the choke cable, 30 is the throttle cable. So that's fairly easy to remember. So, start with the throttle cable. And get this assembled. That way around. That way around. I'm doing it in this little metal tray, just so the bits don't go everywhere. It helps to contain them, hopefully, especially with my numb fingers. And I found this metal tray, I forgot I had it. When I cleaned out the parts washer, this metal tray was in the bottom of the parts washer, like a sunken vessel, and it had become a sump for all kinds of disgustingness. So I had to give it a really good clean. I'd completely forgot it was there. What did I say about memory? Can't remember. Anyway, so throttle cable through, and then we want the spring, which, as you can see, fits over the star-shaped bit. It won't fit over the other bit. You have a heck of a job. If you somehow manage to get it to fit, you'll struggle. Okay, then there's our needle. We'll take that out. Hope you can see this. My fingers are probably going to get in the way, or my hands are going to get in the way. Then it's almost like a keyhole, isn't it, at the bottom of the slide. Pop it in. Oh. Yeah, pop it in. Then hold it back. Hold the spring back, because you want to get the needle back in. This is a bit fiddly because it wants to pop out all the time. I just suspend it like that. Drop the needle in. In you go. Well, you know you want to. You need about 17 hands, but you can do it with 2. Okay, so that goes in. Cable kind of goes around the sort of scalloped bit that goes around the cable like that, and then spring goes in like that, and then that's that fitted. And then obviously when it's under tension, when the cable's got some tension on it at the other end, the whole thing stays together like that, operates like that. So that's that bit done. Now we've got to do the air control cable. So you orient the top of the carburetor top so that the cable entry point is pointing at the area in the slide, and then we can assemble the rest of it. So we need a cable out the package, don't we? That would be the useful thing, because it's a bit difficult to fit when they're still in the plastic bag. In fact, I would go as far as to say impossible, but that's set a challenge for somebody, hasn't it? So, cable through the top of the carburetor as usual. Cable guide with the little flat bit, flanged bit to the top. Goes in like that. Then the spring goes over the cable guide. Then you're going to try and compress this bit. Turn it over like that. Cable in. So hang on. This is where I need to show you this bit. So I'm trying to compress the cable and hold it in one place. Then the cable goes through into the sort of the bigger part of the keyhole. Then it has to go all the way down the slot. So this is where you've got to try and compress the spring, so you've got enough cable. And then he says, it has to go all the way down like that. There we go. Make sure it's all the way in, so it can't pull out. And then it goes slack again, because obviously there's no tension on the cable. And that's it, basically. And we can drop it back in the carburetor. Job done. Right, before we stick it back in the carb then, turn your air slide around. Drop it into your throttle slide, like that. And we're ready. Right, this is where filming can be quite tricky, because where I need to stand to get you a decent view It's not very conducive really to doing the job, but never mind. Never mind the sacrifices that we make, eh? Right. So we've assembled our slide with our air slide, and we're just going to drop it down into the carburetor. Just make sure that we've got it the right way around. Make sure that the carburetor slide goes all the way down. There we go. Has done. And then we need the screws and a screwdriver. So this is where the extra pair of hands comes in. If you can manage to grow a couple of extra hands. Just make sure that everything's not getting crushed or squashed out of place. Still haven't found that screwdriver. This is a substitute for the one I would have used. Don't get me wrong, it's a good substitute, but it isn't the one. Where is it? I don't know. It's becoming a lifelong quest to find it. Okie doke. So far so good. Just do a little bit of manual operation to make sure that everything's moving smoothly. Air slide is good. Throttle slide is good. So now we can worry about the other end of the cable. Right, we'll connect this up, but it'll need greasing and all the rest of it before the bike goes out. Cable routing is a bit of a thing on Bantams. You've just got to try and figure it out best you can. I tend to run these up the off side of the bike, the right hand side of the bike, under the tank. Seems to work. Can be a bit fiddly getting that in there. And that feels a bit tight actually. Yeah, there's a... Do you know what? There's an edge on that. There's an edge on that I don't like. I'm going to take that to bits, that control, and just deburr it. The trouble in it with these, you're buying pattern stuff. Oh yeah, can you hear it? Well, of course you can. That needs a bit of work. That needs a slot slightly opening out. I can feel the edge of it with my finger. It's like a razor blade. Yeah, it needs the slot slightly opening out, and it needs greasing. But at least you know the cable fits. I won't turn the handlebars, I'll knock the camera over. But the quirk of these carburetors, I think I've said about it on the D7, is when the cable's got tension on it, the choke is off. So that's normal riding position. And when the choke is loose, when the cable is loose and slack, that means that your choke is on. So that would be a normal riding position. So that's that one done. You just got to do the throttle. Let me grab a screwdriver. Right, well, we were going to do the throttle, but we can't because I don't have the ferrule that goes on the end of here. That's like a little aluminium Mazak, horrible material ferrule that sits on the end. Basically, it adapts the end of the cable to the throttle housing. Because if you fit it like that, the whole cable will just get dragged inside the throttle and it won't work. I don't have that, and I've had a hunt about and I can't find it. I'm not sure if I've ever had it, but it may have got lost along the years. But we'll get one. We'll get one in short order so that we can fit that, but we can't do that at the moment. So I think we're probably going to end there. And time is it? Yeah, I'm running out of time really, so I'm not going to get the chain done on this video. So we'll end it there. I will pop the video on YouTube so that you can see what I've done, and we'll leave it for now, I think. Right, that's it for this one then. Thank you very much indeed for watching. We got a bit done on the bike, didn't we? Not as much as we'd hoped, but we got a little bit done. We're over on the lathe doing some stuff, so that's always good. And we tested a new product, the rock oil cut and tap, and yeah, it worked really well. I was pleased with it, so there's another recommendation for you. Next time around, I think we're going to crack on with the wiring, because you know, these sort of fiddly little jobs, they're kind of dragging on a little bit. I'll get that throttle connected. I might show that on video, I'm not sure. It's just connecting up a cable, get the chain on, and I think we just need to get stuck into the wiring, because that's the next kind of interesting bit, really. And everybody wants to hear this bike go, and I want to hear it go. So yeah, I think we need to start moving forward with it. The exhaust is you know, still needing some attention. It just needs a really good cleanup, really. We're not doing a great deal with it. Just a really good cleanup, get some caustic through it so that it's, you know, not coked up. There is something loose in there, so I think we need to look at that and see if we can fix it, but yeah, it shouldn't be too much of a job. But yeah, we'll crack on, do the wiring, I think. I need to speak to Peter to see if he wants an ignition key. My bike, my D7, doesn't have an ignition key. They never had them as standard, but you know, this day and age you might want one, and electrics do a key switch for their system. So I'll speak to Peter, see if he wants one of those to be fitted. It will not slow us down, because we'll do that as a separate sub wiring loom, or sub harness if you like, which will connect into the main harness. So we'll make provision for that. If he doesn't want it, we won't do it. If he does, we will. So that's it. Thank you very much indeed to all of my subscribers, new and those of you who've been with me for a while. Thank you very much indeed. It is hugely appreciated that you spend time with me, and to all of those of you who are not subscribed, please do hit the button, ring the bell, and join the merry band if you like. So mind how you go. See you on the next one. Bye for now.